Path of Exile, version 2.4.0, Atlas of Worlds, patch notes. The Atlas of Worlds. The Atlas of Worlds lets you track your progression through Path of Exile's map endgame. You can also use it to upgrade maps and add mods to the Atlas. It indicates which maps are connected to each other. The map drop rules have been changed so that connected maps and maps you've previously completed can drop from the area you're playing. As you progress towards the center of the Atlas from the four corners, the tier of maps increases. There are 4 tier 16 maps that contain the Guardians of the Void. As you defeat them, you learn fragments of a key that allows you to challenge the Shaper himself. As you complete more types of maps, you unlock a cumulative map tier bonus that is displayed on the Atlas. You can upgrade white or yellow maps by 5 tiers using a Shaper's Orb, which can be earned by completing bonus objectives on specific maps. You can add temporary mods to the Atlas itself using Cartographer's Sextants. Your progress, upgrades and mods on the Atlas of Worlds are shared between all characters on your account in that league. We've added 30 new maps and dozens of new map bosses. There are 13 new base item types that can only be found in specific areas of the Atlas. Most existing maps have been revamped to have more balanced monster composition, layouts, boss fights and rewards. You can trade 20 Cartographer's Chisels and 5 Orbs of Regret to a vendor for an item that allows you to respec the shaping of a map. You can trade 5 Cartographer's Sextants, of a specific color, to a vendor for an item that allows you to respec the completion of a map of that color. You can find out more detailed information about how the Atlas works here, www.pathofexile.com web link. The Essence Challenge Leagues. Challenge Leagues are a great opportunity for a fresh start in a new economy. All of your old characters and items are still present in the Standard and Hardcore Leagues, but you're encouraged to join the new leagues, complete challenges and demonstrate your mastery of Path of Exile. With 2.4.0, there are Standard and Hardcore variations of the Essence Challenge League available. They have the same core mechanics and items. In the Essence League, you'll occasionally encounter groups of monsters trapped by mysterious essences. Each type of essence imbues the monsters with different powers, which you'll have to face upon freeing the monsters from their prison. If you are strong enough to defeat these foes, you can claim an essence for yourself. These items aren't just a trophy, their effect is similar to that of the Orb of Alchemy. Using one on a normal item will upgrade it to a rare item but with one pre-decided property. Each of the 25 essences types guarantees a different power, some of which have never been possible on items before. The top 2 essences of each type also act like a Chaos Orb. While it's tempting to use your essences to craft items, you can also upgrade your spare essences to their next power level by combining a group of 3 identical ones at the vendor. The 25 types of essences have between 3 and 7 tiers of power level depending on when they occur in the game. One special type of essence called the Remnant of Corruption isn't used on items, but on the trapped monsters themselves. Its Val influence can create many possible outcomes, including special types of essences that can't be created any other way. Each additional player in your party adds a chance for an additional random essence to drop when the monster is killed. Essences ignore master metamods when crafting items. The new challenge leagues include a set of 40 new challenges. When you complete 12 challenges, you receive the Essence Footprints effect. At 24, you receive the Essence Back attachment. When you complete your 36th challenge, you receive the Essence Portal effect. These microtransactions are only obtainable in this league. From the 19th challenge onwards and for every 3rd challenge after that, you receive pieces of the Essence Totem Pole decoration to display in your hideout. The Totem Pole permanently showcases how many of the Essence challenges you completed during the league. Engine Multithreading. This patch introduces the new multi-threaded engine features that should significantly improve game performance for most users. They were previously not in beta test. To disable this feature, change engine multithreading in the graphics options to disabled. It is automatically disabled if your CPU has less than 4 hardware cores. Frame rate increases are most significant when there are a lot of entities in the scene. This means situations with large amounts of combat should have much more stable frame rates. Do not expect significant increases in frame rate in non-combat situations. If you are GPU bound, you shouldn't expect significant increases in frame rate. Other technical improvements. The particle effects system has been optimized, especially for CPUs with AVX capabilities. Particle simulation is now up to 4 times faster if you're using a modern CPU. This can translate to double frame rate in high particle situations such as burning ground. We've added new texture compression which will improve loading speed and download size. More assets have been added to the preloading system to prevent micro stutters. Reduced memory usage, and hence background loading times, by a further 300 MB. Major new features/content. Added 22 new unique items, including 9 designed by supporters of Path of Exile. 8 of these new uniques can only drop from the Guardians of the Void, and 4 can only drop from the Shaper himself. Added 4 new divination cards, including one designed by our Russian Path of Exile community. Added a new type of strongbox, Diviner's Strongbox. Updated the Hall of Grandmasters with about a dozen additional Grandmasters and some replacements. Minor new features/content. Medium-size hideouts can now hold 4 Forsaken Masters rather than 3. Large-size hideouts can now hold 7 Forsaken Masters rather than 4. Navli and Leo both bypass these limits. The party user interface now shows what area your party members are in if they're not in the current area. Players who have recently disconnected are shown grayed out for a few seconds so that you can see that it occurred. Added 3D art for Vis Mortis, Widowmaker, Frostbreath and the alternate art Demigod's Stride. The Create button is now disabled on the character selection screen if you have no available character slots. This prevents the situation where you only find out after attempting to name a character. Flask buff icons have been remade in a consistent way. The spirit standing next to Haku now flies upwards when you complete the mission and get your reward. The Intruders in Black Quest in Cruel now also offers a bismuth flask as a reward. Mercy Mission in Cruel now also offers Stibnite and silver flasks as rewards. Mercy Mission in Merciless now also offers Basalt, Aquamarine and Sulfur flasks as rewards. The Rock Elemental pet now sometimes rolls when it moves. Zana, Master Cartographer has a new voice actor. Forsaken Masters that point to their objective now also have an arrow on the ground in that direction. You now automatically receive the next waypoint when you kill the Valova Soul, like other act bosses. Significantly improved the alien grass in the belly of the beast. Flicker Strike no longer causes you to drop Haku's spirit. Added some additional dialogue to Maramoa. Renamed the Labyrinth item Orb of Elemental Essence to Orb of Elemental Dispersion to avoid confusion. Cutthroat Leagues now have their own league flag art. Descriptions of damage ranges have been changed from XY to X to Y so that it's more clear when examining the ranges of mods that an essence can add. Emerging spiders now emerge more quickly. Continued to incrementally improve the sound, art, effects and environments. Channeled Skill System. Added a channeled skill system. Incinerate, Flame Blast and Wither are now channeled skills. Unlike other skills, which are used once and quickly finish, when you use a channeled skill, it doesn't finish until you release the relevant button, key. You continue performing the same skill. You need to pay mana repeatedly to keep the skill going. The channeled skill's mana cost must be paid again to maintain it with a frequency determined by the cast time. If you can't pay, the skill will end, just as if you'd lifted the button. Dying, being stunned, and other game mechanics that interrupt the use of skills will cause channeling to end as well. Effects which trigger when you use a skill will only trigger when you initially start channeling, regardless of how long you maintain a channeled skill, it's still the same use of the skill. You need to stop channeling if you want to use it again. Prophecy changes. The prophecy system, previously a challenge league, has been added to the core game. You can now find and rescue Navali in the climb. Navali can now be invited to your hideout and she doesn't consume a slot that would be used by a Forsaken Master. When seeking prophecies from Navali in your hideout, the difficulty used is now the latest difficulty in which your character has ever accessed the Twilight Strand. Silver coins now drop less often than before, as prophecy is not the main league mechanic now. The ceiling cost for most prophecies has been slightly reduced. The highest level that some prophecies can spawn at has been reduced. The normal difficulty version of the Forgotten Soldier's prophecy has been made easier. Immunity improvements. Immunity to debuffs has been reworked to be consistent. In all cases where a player gains immunity to a debuff, they now also have that debuff removed, as opposed to just not allowing further application. Cannot be stats do not work as immunity. For example, Fairgrave Strike-On prevents you being shocked, but does not remove shock. In most cases, this change will not change how existing game elements behave. However, some game elements have been reworded to clarify how they work. Triggered skill improvements. Since we introduced trigger gems, players have been able to trigger their skills faster and faster with each update. The performance and gameplay consequences of this extreme skill spam have finally justified a redesign of how some trigger gems work. For Cast on Critical Strike, Cast on Melee Kill, Mjolnir and Cosprey's Malice, only one skill can be triggered per trigger event. The damage of Cast on Critical Strike and Cast on Melee Kill has been increased, as described in active skill gem balance below. The spell that is triggered is determined based on the order in which it is socketed, and will cast supported spells in sequence, even across multiple attacks. These items and skills also have cooldowns which limit how often a skill is cast. All unique items that trigger skills, now and going forward, follow the rule that if a skill is triggered, it can only be used by the trigger and cannot be directly cast by the player as well. Previously, only the trigger support gems limited the use of the triggered skills this way, while skills triggered by unique item properties could be self-cast. Null's inclination will not be affected by the cast on crit changes and will still trigger all minion spells on kill. Active skill gem balance. Frost walls created by you or your allies are now no longer considered enemies for the purposes of projectile collision detection. Your projectiles will not collide with your own frost wall. This intentionally fixes the exploit case where a player stacks many frost walls around a boss and uses a skill like Piercing Lightning Arrow to trigger an excessive amount of hits. Cast on Critical Strike now has a 500 ms cooldown, and will now only trigger one spell per frame when you critically strike. It now has 100% chance to trigger casts when you critically strike. It now has 20% more spell damage at level 1, tapered up to 39% at level 20, 1% per level. Note that the changes described above in triggered skill improvements affect Cast on Critical Strike. Spells are chosen in the order of their sockets. Cast on Melee Kill now has a 250 ms cooldown. Cast on Melee Kills increases to spell damage have been replaced with 20% more spell damage at level 1, up to 39% at level 20, 1% per level. Many skills have had their damage increased. The increases start out low at lower levels and taper upwards. Here are the increases at gem level 20. Fireball, 50% more damage. Ice Spear, 70% more damage. Arctic Breath, 35% more damage. Cleave, 19% more damage. Sweep, 15% more damage. Ground Slam, 15% more damage. Sunder, 9% more damage. Viper Strike, 11% more damage. Double Strike, 13% more damage. Heavy Strike, 5% more damage. Glacial Hammer, 6% more damage. Dominating Blow, 6% more attack damage, not minion damage. Frost Blades, 15% more damage. Lightning Strike, 9% more damage. Wild Strike, 19% more damage. It now also gains 1% increased area of effect per level. Static Strike, 16% more damage. Reeve, 12% more damage. Reeve's base area of effect has been increased by 21%. Its per stage area of effect has been reduced from 30% to 20%. It still has the same area of effect at the 4th stage. Valreeve's area of effect has been updated to match changes to Reeve. Laceret's 30% less attack speed drawback has been reduced to 25% less attack speed. This is a buff. Ice Crash's attack speed penalty is now 20% less, down from 25% less. Its secondary stage damage penalty is now 15% less, down from 20% less. Its third stage damage penalty is now 30% less, down from 40% less. This is a buff. Static Strike now gains 1% increased area of effect per level. Earthquake's aftershock damage has been reduced from 60% more, at level 1, tapered upwards, to 50% more at all levels. Its mana cost has been increased from 6 to 10. Its aftershock area of effect has been reduced by 12%. With the wide-ranging melee buffs and adjustments to Earthquake, we expect to see a much more balanced use of melee skills. Blade Vortex now has a stack limit of 20, down from 50. It now deals 63% more damage at level 20. The number of hits per second causes substantial performance problems. The skill was also deemed too strong against bosses. Magma Orb can now be affected by projectile speed modifications. Discharge now deals 35% less damage when triggered. Val Molten Shell now causes an explosion when it prevents any physical damage, rather than when it takes any hit. The trap/mine behavior of Bladefall has been made more consistent with other traps, mines. The blades fall from the mine itself, not targeting the location where the monster is. They will fall in the direction of the monster though. PvPT values have been set for Contagion, Essence Drain, and Vortex. Support Gem Balance. Melee Splasher now only has 35% less damage to other targets at level 1, down from 50% less. It now has 26% less at level 20, from 31%. This is a buff. The damage bonus of the less duration support gem has been reduced. At level 1, it has been reduced from 20% to 10%. At level 20, it has been reduced from 29% to 19%. Given the strong utility of this gem, it doesn't need a damage bonus that high. Pierce's mana multiplier has been increased from 110% to 130%. Its damage at high levels only has been reduced. Its damage at level 20 has been reduced from plus 29% to plus 19%. Given the strong utility of this gem, it doesn't need a damage bonus that high. Cast when stunned now also triggers when blocking a hit that would stun. Unique item balance. Rigwald's Crest, the damage of the spectral summoned wolves has been increased by 50%. Their life has been increased by 66%. You know you want to. The following changes do not affect existing versions of these items, unless you use a Divine Orb to reroll them. Reach of the Council, its added damage has been lowered from 2540 to 100-115, to 1530 to 7095. Its local increased physical damage has been reduced from 50% to 70%, to 40% to 50%. Given the large number of additional projectiles this bow provides, it doesn't need the incredibly large damage bonus. It essentially has a built-in GMP which you could use a damage support in place of. Voyheart, its chance on melee hit to bleed has been lowered from 100% to 30% to 50%. Its chance to poison on melee hit has been lowered from 100% to 20% to 40%. We feel that this ring provided too much of a damage bonus for one non-weapon item slot. Ascendancy skill balance changes. Unrelenting now has a 30% chance to gain maximum charges on generating an endurance charge, rather than 100%. While we do want the Juggernaut to be effective at generating endurance charges, this made it far too easy and low effort. It's still very good. Headsman now grants 15% increased area of effect if you have killed an enemy recently, down from 20%. Impact now grants 10% increased area of effect, down from 15%. These two skills are still the best way to get area of effect for duelists. Shaper of Desolation now grants different confluxes over a 10-second cycle, chilling conflux for 3 seconds, shocking conflux for 3 seconds, igniting conflux for 3 seconds and then all three together for 1 second. Each conflux means that any damage causes that state assailment. Elemental conflux was too powerful. The new version requires more strategy, and doesn't need a kill to get started. Monster balance changes. Monster life has been increased in Tier 4 12 maps. The life regeneration mod, and aura, for rare monsters can no longer appear until level 8, to prevent unkillable monsters early where you don't have the tools to deal with their high life regeneration. Bosses that had a reduced effect of curses on them now have a multiplier rather than a reduction. Over time, more and more curse effect has been made available to players. With the boss curse effect reduction being additive, the increased curse effect available to players overwhelmed it. Temporal chains and enfeeble arguably still trivialize most bosses. Other balance changes. Tier 1 maps now drop from level 58 onwards in Merciless. Poison now deals 8% of physical and chaos damage as chaos damage for 2 seconds, down from 10%. While we have future plans to fix poison, addressing double dipping, this nerf brings it slightly more in line until we can make those changes. Labyrinth item enchantments for Stormcall duration have been weakened. In Merciless, the duration is 20% lower, rather than 30%. In the endgame Labyrinth, the duration is 30% lower, rather than 45%. Nearly instant Stormcalls were a problem. It has its delay for a reason. There are still legacy versions of this enchantment. The extra map drop chance that occurs at the map boss is now on the final map boss you kill, rather than the first one. The cost for Voracy to guarantee 3 specific colors of sockets has been reduced to 120 chromatic orbs. The chance of finding a unique strong box has been doubled again. Tormented spirits can now only touch up to 50 monsters each. The technical issues caused by vacuum farming are causing too many problems for us and we have unfortunately had to disable this playstyle. This will improve server performance for everyone. Tormented spirits can no longer possess Vagan, because sometimes he cannot die. Xana League mods available during 2.4.0. There's no explanatory hover text on the map mods that Xana offers, so that you can see this data in the game client. Level 2, Invasion, cost, 2 Chaos Orbs, plus 20% tick, adds 1 Invasion Boss, pack. Level 3, Beyond, cost, 3 Chaos Orbs, plus 20% tick, Beyond. Level 4, Anarchy, cost, 3 Chaos Orbs, plus 20% tick, adds 3 Rogue Exiles. Level 5, Torment, cost, 3 Chaos Orbs, plus 20% tick, adds 3 Tormented Spirits. Level 6, Parandus, cost, 4 Chaos Orbs, adds 3 Parandus Chests, chance for Kadiro to spawn. Level 7, Domination, cost, 4 Chaos Orbs, adds 3 Shrines. Level 8, Ambush, cost, 4 Chaos Orbs, adds 3 Strong Boxes. One-time passive skill reset. Due to balance changes, every existing character has been granted an optional full passive skill reset. This process will also reset your allocated ascendancy points. To perform this operation, click the Reset All Passives button on the passive skill screen. Note that you must use this before allocating or refunding any other points, otherwise the option will go away. Bug fixes. Fixed a bug where the headsman ascendancy skill prevented Poacher's Mark from awarding players with the correct number of charges. Fixed a bug that could occur if players managed to get minus 100% increased cast speed. Fixed a bug related to returning projectiles. They can now hit on the way out and on the way back but can't shotgun, where more than one hit the same target, in either direction. Fixed a bug related to how Bear Trap visually fades away. Strong boxes that explode corpses now do so in a wave that emanates outwards from the strong box, rather than using Val Detonate Dead. This prevents some negative situations that would previously occur. Fixed various problems accessing the Sun Arena. Fixed a bug where the Torah mission that involves the infected beast would complete too early. Fixed a bug where Izaro couldn't be cursed by the same types of curses that his pylons could apply to him as an aura. Fixed a bug where Zana's Tempest mod would sometimes not actually generate Tempest. Fixed a bug where having local life leeches instant on a weapon would also make mana leech instant with that weapon. Fixed a bug where the Pathfinder's flasks gain a charge every 3 seconds. Skill would cancel your attempt to reclaim a microtransaction every 3 seconds. Fixed a bug where the player light sometimes wouldn't be shown, in favor of a much dimmer arbitrary environmental light. Fixed a problem where Elrond's missions could fail to spawn in some areas. Fixed a problem that would cause the ocean water to stutter on AMD graphics cards. Fixed the attack speed calculation for Lacerate when dual wielding. Fixed a bug where you couldn't swap sealed prophecies around by clicking one onto the other. Fixed a bug where Leap Slam would do nothing if the target location was obstructed. Fixed a bug where the spinning active aura indicator would either stand still or only spin slowly when at extremely high frame rates. Fixed a bug where a molten shell would sometimes not disappear when its owner dies. Fixed a case where players with slow load times could fail Zana's limited portals mission during the load screen while in a party. The storms summoned by the Bloodlines mod Herald of the Obelisk now visually resume playing correctly if you go away and come back. Fixed an issue where some traps, specifically Rayquazd's ones, would always spawn on top of each other. Fixed a client crash that could occur in predictive mode related to Molten Shell. Fixed a bug where Frostbomb spell totems would persist even after the spell totem support gem was removed. Fixed a bug where Lacerate could hit with invalid weapon types if they're equipped in the offhand. Fixed 2 instance crashes. Fixed a bug where multiple offering wards could be present at once. Fixed a bug where tormented spirits could still drop items when they expire or when they possess monsters, without being directly killed. Fixed a client crash that could occur when rapidly unsocketing a triggered skill at the moment it is being triggered. Fixed a bug where swapping out certain support gems would not update Blade Vortex's visual effects. Fixed a bug where completing multiple instances of the same cumulative challenge very close together would not count them correctly. Fixed a bug where you could gain permanent Blade Vortex stacks if you had superhuman timing. Or a macro. Fixed a client crash that could occur with Dominus Chilling Bond totems. Fixed a bug where the Calendra's craft prophecy triggered on chests when it states that it only triggers on monsters. Fixed a bug where you could only have one frenzy charge generated from Terminus Ist at a time. Fixed a bug where minimap quest icons would reappear when they shouldn't. Fixed a bug where the Dweller of the Deep would leave a phantom glow effect behind after its first form died. Fixed a bug where Tora could spawn blocked away from the player in the crematorium. Fixed a bug where Vol would drop a Deshret's banner while still having one visually attached to his body. Now his copy is hidden. The illusion is complete. Fixed a bug where some Grandmasters did not use shield charge correctly. Fixed a bug where Scaver's Global Critical Strike mod applied like a local one, effectively granting an 80% multiplicative crit increase. Fixed a bug where the effect of Blade Vortex would not play correctly if you didn't see it being cast. Fixed a bug where the Bone Royal effect from Bone Spire Talisman would be invisible if you returned to the area after it was cast. Fixed a bug where the tracking of several internal states, mostly related to ascendancies, were incorrectly counted as additional buffs on the player for effects which count or increase buffs. Updates since the initial post. Channeled skill system. Added a channeled skill system. Incinerate, Flame Blast and Wither are now channeled skills. Unlike other skills, which are used once and quickly finish, when you use a channeled skill, it doesn't finish until you release the relevant button, key. You continue performing the same skill. You need to pay mana repeatedly to keep the skill going. The channeled skill's mana cost must be paid again to maintain it with a frequency determined by the cast time. If you can't pay, the skill will end, just as if you'd lifted the button. Dying, being stunned, and other game mechanics that interrupt the use of skills will cause channeling to end as well. Effects which trigger when you use a skill will only trigger when you initially start channeling. Regardless of how long you maintain a channeled skill, it's still the same use of the skill. You need to stop channeling if you want to use it again. Bug fixes. Fixed a bug where the tracking of several internal states, mostly related to ascendancies, were incorrectly counted as additional buffs on the player for effects which count or increase buffs. Active skill gem balance. Reeve, 12% more damage. Reeve's base area of effect has been increased by 21%. Its per stage area of effect has been reduced from 30% to 20%. It still has the same area of effect at the 4th stage. Triggered skill improvements. Null's inclination will not be affected by the cast on crit changes and will still trigger all minion spells on kill. Thanks for your continued and generous support. We're greatly looking forward to exploring the Atlas of Worlds with you.